Check one, check one.
Check two, check
All
three.
right. I'm in the place to be. All right. Just want to make sure that we're rolling.
All right. So, what do you have going on? A little J?
The music, yeah. I mean, in this day and age, I mean, shit. In my life, yeah, it's almost mandatory to have Jay on a daily basis, especially in the background, on the intro.
Did he have an impact in your early life, you know, as far as influencing you into rapping or just like rap in general?
Jay? Yeah. I mean, me growing up, I mean, I know my generation. I don't know about anybody else's, but when I was growing up, Jay was that guy. You know, when I was around 10, 11 years old, Jay was that dude. And just him having a similar story to mine as far as having his dad leave at a young age and just having bad experiences with women and trust issues. It's just a story that I can relate to. And I mean, as far as rapping, I mean, yeah, I remember in middle school I was playing the Blueprint 1 album, and every day I would get ready, you know, and every morning just to that certain album, and just he definitely, as far as flow and stories, he taught you that you could talk about your life and life experiences and be okay with it. It's okay to be yourself.
Okay, and as far as your parents' origins and growing up, like, where did you live?
I mean, my parents are Colombian. I mean, my pops is from Jumbo, my mom's from Cali. You know, they're full-bred Colombian. And, I was born at Southside Hospital in Bayshore. And for the first year of my life, I lived in East Islip. So pretty much from 1 till about 5, I flew back and forth. I was going to Colombia for like 5-6 months, then going back to Islip for a few more months, going back and forth till about 5 when it was like school time. So but I'm from Islip though, you know, Islip, holla.
And how was it during those early years in Colombia? Like, do you have any memories from being a kid in Colombia?
Like early childhood in there?
Yeah.
I mean, I was really young, you know, I was, 2, 3, 4 years old. I mean, all I can remember is just it was very freeing, very simple. There was a lot of free roaming around, and my parents had me on a very long leash. I remember during that time, if you look in the papers, if you look at Narcos, 92, 93, there was a lot of drug shit going on, but I don't remember that. I just remember just running around mountains and falling on my face and just being very simple, just very calming, and, yeah.
And Islip?
Growing up in Islip?
Yeah.
Islip was a whole nother game. It was more like pop culture and entertainment. There was more, not like Colombia where people were always outdoors. And out here, it was just more like what was on TV. There was so much shit. There was video games. There was so much that for you to swallow that, like, as a kid, it's just like it's overwhelming almost. You know what I mean? So there's definitely a difference of dynamic for sure growing up. Yeah.
And what kind of music do you remember being played throughout your childhood?
I mean, well, in Colombia, it was all salsa, merengue, Grupo Nietzsche. That's all that was being played. I mean, out here in the States, my mom would have on, when she was cleaning the house, she would have on Madonna, Boy George. My brother would have on, Nirvana and any early raps like LL Cool J and, Beastie Boys, shit like that. So, I mean, when you're younger, you don't really get to pick what you're playing. You don't dictate. You're not DJing. So whatever's being played is, you kind of deal with it. But I dug that shit. That's why I'm so diverse now, because I grew up in that kind of way.
Midnight Blue, it's the project, and it's why we're here.
Yeah.
Would you be able to tell me the name and what people can expect from it?
Midnight Blue is more like it's like a feeling. It's a vibe. It's, it's pretty much, I base my music off being played at night, late night drives and shit, driving around on the highway, Sunrise, the LIE. And there's a lot of times where you're driving, you get flashbacks and certain memories drawn up, and I wanted to turn that into music. And more especially having my town and towns around me and shit that I have memories in being shouted out on record. Because you don't get Long Island shout outs, or you know, yo, I was at the opening. You don't hear that. So I just remember being jealous because my friend Elijah, he could listen to a 50 Cent song or LL Cool J song and have Queens shouted all over the record. Like, you listen to Snoop Dogg, you know where he's from. LBC, you know where Fabulous is from. You know where all these rappers are from. So I wanted that for my generation and my town of people to have their shit shouted out. So it's just, Midnight Blue is just that kind of subject matter, but in a dark, twisted, laid back type of vibe, because that's what I'm about. It's just very psychedelic R&B type of vibe.
And how long did it actually take to put everything together, as far as like picking the right title, the right beats, the number of songs, and like the order you put songs, and like writing the lyrics and stuff like that?
Shit. I mean, it took like a little. I mean, it took a while. I mean, I remember the first song was recorded in like the summer of 2014, August 2014. Mermaids and Seaweed. That was the first joint that was recorded, and even those raps were written in 2010. So I mean, I know how people say when you make your first solo debut, you have your whole life to make it, but to really crack it down, I mean, the first recordings were 2014, summer 2015, winter 2015, and little breaks here and there and shit, just to get everything right. But I say a good 2.5 years it took everything to, up to this point, to get done. Yeah.
And like the recording aspect, like why did it take so long to complete and like put out?
Because I mean, you only get one chance at a first impression, and I want to make sure that it's not just high and by. Like a lot of these people that are putting out music are major artists. Frank Ocean and The Weeknd and Drake, where they put out an album in a month, and 6 weeks later you're not listening to that anymore. So I want to make sure that I take my time and really nail this shit and do it right. Not just do it, but do it right. So I want to make sure that it's done right. Yeah.
When you're in the studio, is the scene what we typically think of, like styrofoam cups, alcohol everywhere, people smoking, girls in and out, like just one big party?
Nah, I'm very boring, and I take what I do very serious. My music and shit. I don't take myself too seriously, but what I do, my craft and shit, I take it very serious. I mean, anyone who's been in the studio with me, it's very, to the point, very in and out. I have my rhymes all prepared, and and I tried early on in my recording. I tried smoking and drinking beforehand just to get like a certain vibe, and it doesn't end well. It's very sloppy. I'm stumbling over words, So I mean, this time around, I would have Tito with me, or a close friend, or just my girl, and that's really it. I just I like a very close knit type of vibe, and Johnny, he had the A&R, the producer, the one who runs the studio. He just had a baby girl, so that was a first. You know what I mean? You're kind of limited to having a good time. So I like that. You know what I mean?
And writing your lyrics, is it a similar attitude on how you treat recording? Like, what's the thought process in writing, and where do you get your inspiration from?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty similar. Again, I mean, I might have a beer or two, or a glass of wine or something, just to loosen up a little bit, so I don't have to overthink when I'm writing. But yeah, it's the same shit. I take it very seriously. I sit myself down, and whether I see a piece of paper or a phone that's blank, I gotta make sure that it's screaming at me, "Fill me up, motherfucker!" I want to make sure that whenever I do something, something's being written. I'm not wasting time, and inspiration came from anything, whether it's a conversation that you and I are having, the way that something that you may have said to me, or the way that you're looking at me, or having dinner, what people are wearing, but more especially driving around. And that's what this is based off of, just going to these different towns, going to these different parts of the city, and just having the environment flash before you. You get a lot of flashbacks, a lot of memories flowing into you. So I'm constantly getting inspiration through different aspects. So yeah, it's very weird.
So like, can you ever have a normal conversation then, since you're like always thinking of rhymes and trying to draw inspiration from somewhere or someone?
I mean, I'm sure the people around me definitely, who I've talked to, definitely can get annoyed and put off thinking that I'm not fully there, and it's definitely a gift and a curse. It's like a bit of a torture that I'm never focusing on that one person because there's always something going on. You know, I could be having a conversation with you, and again, like I said, something that you have said may draw inspiration. I've laid in bed at night, and in the middle of the night, something just came to my head, and I'll write something. So my mind definitely is always racing, always coming up with something, and it's a little bit of a torture. But I remember Jerry Seinfeld said something like, always pick the torture that you're most comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's going to the gym and it's like you're fucking dreading wanting to go there, and it's like 20-30 minutes in, you're fine. Going into work, you might be screaming out the window that you don't want to go, but as soon as you're there, an hour in, you're fine. So my torture, I'm cool with it. I'm comfortable with it.
And do you ever have any musical training growing up? Like, how did you learn how to write and be able to record songs?
I didn't ever go to my parents and say like I need some musical training because I feel musical inside or shit like that, but definitely they saw it early on. Like my mom would have like a Grease soundtrack, and I would always perform, and I would gather my family around, and I would want them to listen to me perform these songs and Michael Jackson songs and shit like that. So every other Christmas I would have like a drum set or a guitar or some kind of thing that was definitely musical. But when it comes to rapping, I mean, all I needed was a pad and a couple of instrumentals. I mean, that's the tools that I needed for my training, you know what I mean? So, but nah, I mean, nowadays I do think about picking up an instrument or something like that, but I never had any kind of musical professional training or anything like that. And again, when I was growing up, I remember I think like 5th or 6th grade, before instrumentals became like a big thing, I would print out lyrics of popular songs and scratch out the name. So like if it was like Puff Daddy or Fab, I would scratch out their name and I would rehearse those rhymes, and that's how I learned flow and bars. And a lot of the kids that I grew up rapping, they were learning as they went, so I picked it off from them and vice versa. So we all learned just as we went. Excuse me really quick. Just grabbing another beer. Sponsored by Reds.
So like, how long does it typically take you to write a rap or like a full song in general?
I mean, it all depends. It all depends on the beat. It all depends on what I'm writing about at that specific moment, the subject. But I mean, it could, if I'm feeling it, there's no explaining it. It could happen, anywhere from a half hour to 45 minutes. And I remember there was one song on there where I wrote, and, the first verse, and the second verse didn't get written until 6 months later. So it all depends on whether you're feeling it. And, you just got to live life in between. You can't force it. So any given record can depend. So there's no specific time.
Do you ever get like superstitious with yourself? Like if you write a good song in a short amount of time, the next one has to be done at that same pace?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's definitely, artists superstitious where like if you write a good song in a short period of time, that the next one has to be written just as fast. But, when you're making a first impression, all it takes is one record or one rhyme to be whack, and everyone's looking at you crazy. So I'm not taking those chances. So, I don't care how long it takes. I'm fine with that.
Can you freestyle?
No, I suck. My freestyles sound like what nowadays generation of rap sounds like. So these new guys, how they sound, where they're mumbling and shit like that, that's how I sound when I freestyle. But at the end of the night, I've done it. I've definitely done it where we'll put a beat on and, we get out of the bar and a group of friends will just, start, having fun with it. But that's my version, freestyle.
Have you ever had assistants writing raps and vice versa?
No, no, definitely not. I know how there's like a big thing going on right now, but nah, I recall one time where I was having trouble with a certain rhyme, and I hit a close friend of mine, and I was like, yo, dude, I need help with this one rhyme, and he never hit me back, and eventually I ended up writing it, but no, I mean, for sure when you're collaborating with somebody, you might kick some ideas back and forth, like, oh, you should, switch up your flow on here, maybe you should rap about that, but no specific rhymes and shit like that. Nothing like that. Nah.
And you've been doing music for quite a long time now.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
this
for
like
sure.
the first project you've worked on?
No, the first project was a group project. It was all a group effort. There was a group of us, of five, the original five, where we were called SHF. Supreme Hood Fam. That was our name, and I didn't pick the name. It was already picked out when I joined the group. And the first tape was called Born Supremacy, and I just remember that it was fun, man. I just remember it was just like it was our first time rapping and together, and we had a hell of a time making that. And we were like, little ghetto superstars, just handing out our mixtapes to different people around the school, and we were like the Cash Money or the Backstreet Boys of our school, and it was awesome, yeah. Shout out to John B too. If John, I think he may be because it was his studio. He may be the only one with the original copy. If you get a chance to hear this, dude, try to email me that, dude. I need that.
And what was your original rap name?
It was KS. It was just my initials. It was we didn't have any crazy names back then. Like any one of us, like it was John B K. Like we just kind of incorporated our name in some kind of cool way and just chopped it up. But it wasn't anything crazy. But KS, yeah, KS, stay fresh.
And how about the name Sebastian Lansky? How did that come about?
That came out a little afterwards. I watched this movie Cruel Intentions, and I could relate to the character that Ryan Philippe played was Sebastian, where he was this like Manhattan playboy, and he would just run around the city bouncing around from girl to girl, but really he just wanted someone to feel sacred with and fall in love with, but when he finally got it, he didn't know how to act with it, or treat it, and that's how I feel. So I could relate to that character, and it was always a joke because I would in my later teens, I sold a little pot, but never in my town. I always sold it in the next town over, like Bayshore, East Islip. So in case, if anyone got caught, they didn't know who it was. They would just say Sebastian. So, that kind of stuck. And it stuck with it through the bars, too. If I ever met a girl who I feel like wasn't worthwhile, or if I felt like it wasn't going to go anywhere, why give her my real name? So it stuck. And Maya Lansky was this mafioso guy where he was the quiet one in the group, where he didn't show out. He wasn't the one who wanted too much attention to him, and that's how I feel. So kind of stuck, and I figured Sebastian Lansky, that's a cool name.
And so are the high nerves and anxiety to performing well and delivering a good product to the public, since this is, as you said, your first debut as a solo artist, and now you won't have the comfort of being in a group?
Yeah, there's always anxieties and shit if you're in a. I mean, the group, it happened so long ago, but just overall, just putting out, a product that you want to make sure everyone likes, and it's just you. All eyes are on you for sure. But when you work on something and you put, an endless amount of hours on something, and you know that you're good, then there should be no reason to be nervous when you know that you're not just putting the effort in, but you're nice. And I know that I'm dope. I have people around me that are not just yes men, where they know, what, that shit is dope, and I know I'm nice. So I think I nailed it with this one. I think I'm good.
And where do you get such high confidence and self-esteem from?
Again, just repetition, just making sure that you're on top of your game, and you're perfecting your craft every day. But as far as personality wise, I mean, my mom, growing up with a woman that is so strong and never showed any kind of weakness or showed any kind of she never felt sorry for herself. She never made me feel sorry for myself, and she always was a strong woman. So growing up with someone like that, it rubs off. So that's how I carry myself from day to day, and it reflects on the music, you know.
And can you recall your first musical experiences? And, was there a specific moment when you knew this is what you wanted to do?
Um, I mean, I would always, again, I would always want to perform around family, and I always got a thrill off of that when I was the one that was causing, you know, grins and everyone was happy, and I knew I wanted to continue that in some kind of way. So whether it was dancing and singing for my family to later on writing raps for my friends, like I don't know if there was a specific point, but I knew it definitely grew, and I knew that I was getting better and better, and that I wanted to continue, doing this, you know.
And do you remember your first rap and fast forwarding to the first time you recorded a song in a studio?
My first rap was horrible. It wasn't even. It didn't make sense. It rhymed. It was literally a rhyme. It didn't make sense. It was stupid. But the first time I recorded, yeah, for sure, it was in it was where we ended up recording the first tape, and I think I rapped on Jaquan's 1 to the 2 to the 3 to the 4, and I just remember wanting to incorporate that to some early rap. I forgot who the fuck my man's name is, but it was like 1 2, it's battle me, that's a sin. So like I kind of, I remember that wasn't that good either, but yeah, that was the first time.
So from younger years to now, would you say hip hop is like your favorite type of music?
No, definitely not. I don't listen to hip hop that often. I'm more of like, rock, psychedelic rock, R&B type shit. But nah, I don't believe in saying hip hop is my. I just like good music. Like if you listen to what I'm listening to now, it's just all random shit.
Now I'm gonna get into logistics with Midnight Blue, because
Okay.
if I put aside the closest people to you that know you well enough and know your story, as far
Right.
as like the audience is concerned,
Yeah.
you're a new stranger. So when they hear your music, they may not totally understand like the backstory, no matter how vivid you paint it. So I'm gonna ask you about certain songs and lyrics in hopes you can explain them and decode it for us. Because especially with rap, there tends to be a lot of
Verbiage. Yeah.
yeah.
I get it.
A lot is being said with lyrics and slang. It's very easy for people to get lost and miss important topics.
Right.
So, for example, Magnum Opus, first song, first line, Midnight Blue, these colors never existed.
Yeah, that was like I learned that from 50 Cent. The first album he made, what was it? Get Rich or Die Trying. His first line was G Unit. Boom, we in here. So he was letting you know what was about to happen. So Midnight Blue, these colors never existed, was just kind of like a vibe of someone that never really felt before or ever heard before, because of course everyone has had their own take on laid back music and shit like that. But like if you ever go to like a painting class and there's a group of like 12 people painting all the same thing, at the end of the night when they take a picture, it's every painting is different, but it's usually the same shit. So I just want to do my take on the same shit. So I didn't invent laid back R&B music, but I just wanted to do, my own take on things. You know what I mean? So Midnight Blue is just like a certain feeling, colors that never existed.
Okay, and on the same song, you say, this 99 state of mind that I hold in my prime, so for the time, I'm alone.
Well, yeah, 1999 was, the 90s in general was like the best for music, not just hip hop, not just for just everything, and just in life in general. But 1999 was the first year where I actually was buying and picking what I was listening to. Like before that, it was whatever my parents played. In 1999, I would buy my first albums. Like I remember it was Rough Riders Volume 1. And but that's my favorite year, so I'm in that kind of state of mind of what I want to do with music. So I feel like I'm alone on that. And also in 1999, Karl Malone was the MVP. He was the best player in the NBA. So I kind of played on where it's like I'm Malone, Karl Malone, shit like that.
And how about 82 Mercer?
82 Mercer was again more of a 90s vibe. It has that the Biggie and Mary J. Blige collab, and I just wanted to talk about. I spent a lot of time in Soho, so I wanted to give it a certain vibe and bring people to, what I see and what I feel, you know.
And the second half of the song, Elevator.